Here's Brian in for Ashleigh.
Hey everybody, welcome to Banfield. I'm Brian Enton in for Ashleigh. Banfield will be back tomorrow night, but we've got breaking news tonight in the Idaho murder case. There are more docs that just came out, and we now have the text messages between the surviving roommates just moments after the murders, and also the transcript from the frantic 911 call that they made. It is clear how terrified they were, how confused they were about what was going on in that house in Moscow, Idaho. This is Kohberger's lawyers want to ban words from his murder trial. Words like murder, psychopath, even bushy eyebrows. They say all of it is just too much for the jury to hear, and they are even trying to scrub his Amazon history from evidence. Why don't they want the jury to see what he bought on Amazon? Why is that part of these new filings that were released today? We're going through every word of the new document dump, and victim Kaylee Gonzalez's dad will join me live as well as their family attorney. That's in just a couple of minutes. Also tonight, from most hated mom in America to internet star, Casey Anthony has tens of thousands of followers on her TikTok and Substack accounts, but not all of her subscribers are actually fans. There has been a lot of angry responses, as you can imagine, to Casey's legal tips. Yep, she's giving tips, legal advice now on the internet. She claims that she is an advocate. Now, if you're one of those haters, watch out, because Casey has a warning for you. We're going to get to all of that in her latest posts, which are very bizarre, coming up later in the show. And also tonight, do you remember the Slender Man case? The young girl, Morgan Geyser, who stabbed her friend 19 times. It was back in 2014 when they were just 12 years old. Well, Morgan was trying to appease the fictional supernatural character Slender Man and prove that he was real. Really, really bizarre case. Well, fast forward to now, Morgan was granted conditional release from a psych hospital. That was in January, and the state just tried to stop it after learning what type of book she was reading. It's interesting. The book is probably a book that many of you have read. Well, the judge just made a ruling. This was just within the last couple of hours of whether Morgan will get to go free or not. We're going to have the latest on that decision and what this means for the entire case. That is coming up later in the show. But we begin tonight, of course, with the breaking news in the Idaho murder case. For the first time, there's these newly unsealed court documents, and they reveal text messages between the two surviving roommates the night of the murders. This is the first time we have seen anything like this. The messages, they offer a chilling glimpse into those early moments of panic, showing the survivors were awake and that they were already discussing a possible masked intruder. Now, remember Dylan Mortensen? You probably know that name. She's one of the eyewitnesses who described the suspect. She's one of the roommates who was alive in the house. She said it was a masked man with bushy eyebrows inside the house on King Road. Well, now those texts, they help us piece together exactly what happened next. They paint a picture of the horror. And here is what the filings reveal. I want to read these all to you. It's 4:19 to 4:21 a.m. Mortensen repeatedly tried calling her roommate, Bethany Funk, as well as Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Madison Mogan. And every call, sadly, went unanswered. And then from 4:22 to 4:24 a.m., she texts Bethany, "No one is answering. I'm really confused right now." And she says, "Kaylee, what's going on?" "Yeah, dude, WTF. Xana was wearing all black. I'm freaking out right now. No, it's like a ski mask almost. STFU. Shut the F up. Actually, like he had something over his forehead and mouth. I'm not kidding. I am so freaked out. So am I," Bethany said to Dylan. "My phone is going to die. F." And Bethany says to Dylan, "Come to my room. Run. Down here." You imagine what they were seeing and feeling. The filings also reveal that Mortensen spent the night in Funk's room, which that is new. Then at 10:23 a.m., so fast forward, remember this was like 4 a.m., now we're going to 10:23 a.m., she sent additional texts to Kaylee Gonzalez She said to Gonzalez, please answer. And then she said to Gonzalez and also Mogan, she texted them both and said, are you up? Now, just before noon, an unnamed person used Bethany Funk's phone to call 911. Think about the timeline. Text started at 4 a.m., then 10 a.m., now we're at noon, and the 911 calls. And the transcript of that frantic call has also now been unsealed for the very first time. Not the recording, but we have the transcript. Some of it's redacted, but we have most of it. I'm going to read it to you now. It is a bit confusing because we don't know exactly who is saying what. But bear with me. I'm going to read you the entire thing because it, again, paints a picture like we haven't seen before. Okay, so 911, location of your emergency. And then she says, hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what we have. They ask, what is the address of the emergency? 1122. No, don't. What is the rest of the address? Oh, Kings Road. Okay. Is that a house or an apartment? And the person, again, we don't know exactly who's talking to the 911 operator, but they say it's a house. Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right? I'll talk to you guys. We live at the right, so we're next to them. I need someone to repeat the address for verification. The address, 1122 King Road. And what's the phone number that you're calling from? What's your phone number? This part, of course, is all redacted. What's the rest? They also redacted this part of it. Okay, and tell me exactly what's going on. One of the roommates who's passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up. No, we saw... And then the 911 operator says, okay. Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi. And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around. So what's happening here is they're passing the phone to different people in the house who are all talking to the 911 operator. Can I just tell you what happened? Pretty much what is going on currently is someone passed out right now. I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m. Okay, I need to know what's going on right now. If someone is passed out, can you find that out? Yeah, I'll come on. We got to go check, but we have to. Is she passed out? She's passed out. What's wrong? So the roommates are looking at Kaylee Gonzalez right here. Dispatching Moscow Law Ambulance for, and then they say she's not waking up. And then you've got the 911 operator on consciousness, 1122 King Road, 70 is en route. Okay, one moment, I'm getting help, started that way. Okay, maybe, and then there's a part of the call that's unintelligible. They say the address again, 1122 King Road. All ambulance respond for unconsciousness, 1122 King Road. I copy. Part of the call, again, hard to understand. 58 multiple RPs on the phone advised saying the roommate on scene is passed out and not waking up. Believe she got drunk last night, and about a male being in the room with them. Some of it's unintelligible here, being around. That one I copy about 20-year-old female unconscious trying to get further. Copy, yeah, it's, and then Evan, I'm not sure what that part means. Okay, and how old is she? She's 20. 20, you said? Yes, 20. Here, do you want to talk to EM? Okay, hello. Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people. Again, this is why it's confusing. The roommates are apparently passing the phone around to talk to the 911 operator. Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone. Is she breathing? Hello. Is she breathing? No. Okay. And then they've got someone en route. I need you to talking to them, okay? I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them. Okay, hello, okay. I have already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line, okay. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it. Units responding. Again, part of it's not easy to understand here. The patient is not conscious, not breathing. Okay, if there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it. We don't have one, they say. Unconscious, not breathing. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, we have one. But are you talking to the officer? Yes. So at this point, the officer has now arrived on the scene. Okay, I'm going to let you go. He's there with you and can help you. Okay, thank you, bye, okay. And then it says Moscow, 46 out, copy. I think we have a homicide. That's what the operator said there. I think we have a homicide. Moscow engine is en route, 1370. And then they talk about relaying the information. So again, I'm reading it to you. We only have the transcript, but you just think to yourself what that sounds like. While we can't hear their voices, imagine that call and the fear and the terror of those roommates all passing the phone around, talking to the operator, and what they were seeing in that moment. It's really something to take in. All right. Also new today, Kohberger's defense team is scrambling to keep certain words and phrases out of the trial. This is really something. They don't want words such as murder, psychopath, sociopath, and even bushy eyebrows. They don't want those words allowed to be said in front of the jury. That's the description Dylan Mortensen gave of the masked intruder. Remember, bushy eyebrows. But according to Kohberger's attorneys, it is unreliable and should be excluded. And even more curiously, the defense also wants to keep Kohberger's Amazon purchase history out of the trial. His team claims his click activity is too vague and does not show a full picture. They don't want the jury to see what he was clicking on the Amazon website. What was he clicking on? We don't know, but interesting they don't want anyone to see that. This all comes on the heels of another major development. Just yesterday, it was revealed that Maddie Mogen had DNA from 3 different people under her fingernails, and tests to identify it were inconclusive. The defense wants that thrown out as well. They're arguing, and I quote here, it might allow the jury to infer that inconclusive data would mean that Kohberger might be included. So there was a lot of new information that came out today. There was a lot of new information yesterday. These documents continue to be released now for the first time. I want to bring in now Steve Gonsalves, who lost his daughter Kaylee in the King Road massacre, and we are also joined by the family's attorney, Shannon Gray. Steve and Shannon, it's always nice to see you. I'm sorry to have to read all of that right before going to you. I know that can't be easy. I'm curious, Steve, did you get any kind of heads up that this would be released late today?
No, we didn't hear a word, and my wife has said from the very beginning when the hopefully the 911 never came out, and if it did come out, at least she would have, be some prepared. She has a counselor, she has people she could talk to. There's certain things that coping mechanisms. So we'd like for the advocate or somebody to kind of let us know what's going on, rather than nothing personal, but having the media tell you is probably not the same as having somebody that, that you've learned to have a relationship and you trust and you've worked with. So yeah, we're finding out just like everyone else. So it's a bit rough.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. And I remember that you had a meeting with them months ago, and I thought they were going to sort of give you guys a heads up when things were going to be released publicly. And I guess that didn't happen in this case, which is unfortunate. Is there anything, Steve, obviously the horror is what stands out to me, but was there anything in the text of the text messages or the call that really struck you?
What struck me is, it's not like Hollywood. It's not a scripted thing. It's not like what you would see on a TV set. That was a raw, emotional breakdown of 2 girls that were scared for their life. There's part of me that knows that, like how that house was. There's a lot of pranking going on. There's a lot of partying. So there's part of them that was probably thinking, is this a prank? Am I getting messed with? I know for a fact my daughter loved pranking people. So my heart goes out to those 2 girls. I'd have a hard time if I was one of their parents to have my daughter put through what they've been put through. I mean, we sat 2.5 years on what? Why did this need to be hidden from the public? Why did these girls have to be dragged through all this? These are the type of things that why I do these interviews and why we push back a little bit, because I think a lot of people are questioning right now why this was hidden.
Yeah, look, Shannon, it's been years and none of this is coming out until now. And now the judge has said that he wants more of this to become public. But Steve makes a good point. If this had just come out within the first couple of months, maybe it would have been easier on the survivors and the victims' families like the Gonsalves.
Yeah, the prosecution's choice in keeping everything under wraps has been a decision that they've made from the get-go. They haven't wavered from it in any way. That being said, I mean, for lack of a better term, I'm just pissed. Common decency should have the Latah County prosecutor's office and the victims' advocates contact myself and the victims' families and let them know some of the stuff that's coming down and is being filed. So they're not just surprised by it, and just have a really just honest conversation with us about it. But none of that happens. And I'm frustrated and I'm pissed for myself and the family that I don't have a chance to explain those things to them, to give them a little bit of a heads up on, hey, these motions are filed this way and they may or may not be successful. If it is successful, who cares? Doesn't affect the case in some way, or my opinion on whether or not those motions might be filed or might be successful or not. But it's just really, really frustrating. And I know Steve and Christy are frustrated by it, but I'm the one that gets to say, I'm pissed, and I'm pissed for everybody. So.
Yeah, and I mean, even if they can't give you the documents ahead of time, it seems like they could at least give you a heads up to tell the family, hey, maybe don't watch the news for an hour, give me a second to go through these and call you. It seems like that would be a sort of a decent thing to do. Steve, what do you make of this latest motion where they're trying to ban words from coming out during trial? I mean, simple words like that are part of the case in murder, bushy eyebrows, sociopath, psychopath. Did this come as a surprise, Steve?
Yeah, I thought they'd have a sadistic on there from the profile that I know that they've made of him. Some of the websites that he's been to, that was a one that rated really high with him. So I'm a little surprised they didn't put that word on there. But when you're super desperate, you really have nothing, you attack words and simple things like that. I mean, they're really done. I mean, their client is left so much evidence that they've got to attack words. So I guess it's a sign. It's a sign of what's to come, and hopefully the state and prosecution is strong enough to see this all the way through and not give in to the desperation that's about to come and the plea deals that they're going to try to negotiate for.
Yeah, you talk about not giving in, and they've tried over and over again to get the death penalty thrown out. You've said in the past you would never go for a plea deal. Do you still feel that way? I mean, even though it would alleviate a trial and everything that you and the family would have to go through?
No, I definitely don't believe that. I've rallied the two other families. So there's three of us total. So yeah, we're standing solid on one thing. This person, this courtroom, this defense, they've put us through the ringer. They've made us leave our own community. They've made us travel all across the state that we live in. We have to get on an airplane. It's very hard. They've done everything to make this absolutely the hardest on us. So when you make those decisions, there should be you should be held accountable for those decisions. And again, this person isn't from the state of Idaho. This is an outsider who came to our state to wreak havoc. And I don't know why we would ever give somebody like that, who kills somebody while they're asleep in their beds, getting an education, why we would give that person a break.
Yeah, and, I guess we'll see how that develops. I mean, we know that hopefully they would consult with you and the other families before making any kind of decision about a plea deal. Just the last thing, Shannon, I'm curious what you think. This came out yesterday about them now saying that Brian Kohberger is on the autism spectrum and that should somehow come into play now in terms of him not getting the death penalty. Were you expecting that to come into all of this, Shannon?
Everything that you get on the fly, we get on the fly. So we had no idea about an autism diagnosis until the filings that came across. We didn't have any idea about, some of the other things in the motions, the text messages, the 911 call. Nothing has been shared with the family, with the defense. Once again, might be a good reason to maybe give us a call or shoot us an email just to say some of these things are to be coming down the road. Hey, don't worry about it. hey, we've got it covered. These are the issues. This is the things we want to address. There's victims' rights statutes that are put in place for a reason. And it's not for them to just kind of stonewall the victims' families because they want to. And we really feel, like a lot of this stuff that was filed and the things that they've all been a surprise. So maybe in the future, fingers crossed, tie a knot, tie a bow, hang a lucky charm around your neck, that maybe we get a phone call or an email that maybe gives us a heads up about what's going on in the case, rather than watching it on the news the next morning when it pops up on the calendar.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation about you guys being surprised by something. Steve and Shannon, I really appreciate you coming on. Steve, as always, the way you advocate for your daughter and the other families, I think it really says a lot. So appreciate you very much.
Good day.
Take care.
Okay, we have to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. It's a busy hour, a lot going on tonight. Casey Anthony's new career as a legal advocate is picking up some serious steam. Bizarre. Thousands of new followers. But did she accidentally reveal more than she wanted to? We've got a body language expert going to review the video. What does it really mean? That's coming up next.
If you become depressed, have sudden behavior or mood changes, or suicidal thoughts, don't take Ingrezza if allergic. Serious side effects may include allergic reactions like sudden, potentially fatal swelling and hives, sleepiness, the most common side effect, and heart rhythm problems. Know how Ingrezza affects you before operating a car or dangerous machinery. Report fever, stiff muscles, or problems thinking, as these might be life-threatening. Shaking, stiffness, drooling, and trouble with moving or balance may occur.
Take control by asking your doctor about Ingrezza.
All right, so Casey Anthony has a warning for her haters. Watch what you say about me or I might sue. Anthony posted the message on her brand new online newsletter where she posts legal tips. Here's part of her newest little expose. It says, over the internet, and you're saying something hateful, slanderous, libel, threatening, bullying, etc., the recipient party can request the jurisdiction be in the state where they live, not the state where you committed the act. The internet is not a protected place. She also included a link to Florida's libel and slander laws and promised to post other states' laws in the coming days. Now, her Substack page includes an email address so that people with legal questions can get in touch with her directly. The page has more than 3,200 paid subscribers. And her new TikTok account is even more popular. There's 62,000 followers there. She launched her new legal advocate career with a TikTok video over the weekend. A lot of people said that it was just tone deaf and offensive. She shot it in a hot car. She said she might sweat to death. And she bragged that she had been in the legal field since 2011. That is the year that she was acquitted of first-degree murder of her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. Now, if you haven't seen it, here are some of the highlights from the video.
I sweat to death. Okay. Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings. I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself. Moving forward, the majority of what you will see will be me speaking in a professional capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people, to give people tools and resources that they can utilize so they actually know where they can turn to. So with that, please join me on Substack. Anyway, I appreciate your time, and we'll see how this goes.
So that's what she said, but she may have accidentally revealed a lot more. The words someone chooses, their mannerisms, they all give off subtle hints about what the person is thinking and what they really mean. I'm joined by Scott Rouse. He's a behavior analyst and body language expert. He has reviewed the video. Okay, starting from the beginning, you see her getting ready. You see her talking about how hot it is. What stood out to you, Scott?
That's all pre-show. This is probably the fourth or fifth shot she's taken to doing this video. That's my impression. That's my opinion. And because what will happen is this: you don't want people to think you have been in there trying to do this over and over and over, especially when you're presenting the new me that you're coming out with. So what happens is this, and we know this, and I'll tell you why we know that this is probably the fourth or fifth shot here in just a second. So she starts the video and she starts, it's called preening. She looks like she's starting to get ready, but look at her hair. Her hair is perfect. She's already relaxed in the seat. She's leaned back a little bit. She's not doing what's called threat checking, which for embarrassment and for safety as well, where if someone's watching you talk to your phone in your car, it's kind of embarrassing if they bust you because they know you're doing a TikTok or something for Instagram. So they'll kind of look around and have that a little smile on their face or a look on their face. Or if you're in an area where you think somebody may harm you, you'll be looking for threats, for literal threats. So this is sort of the pre-show before she gets started. Then when she begins, as she's firing herself up, we see her put her hand on the steering wheel, because I think this is backwards actually as we're looking at it. She puts her hand up on the steering wheel and then she starts. So her brain has said, okay, here we go. She says, okay. And then she starts telling her story about how this is probably going to be the first of many of my many videos probably. And when she says probably, that lets us know she's not sure what's going on yet. She's trying to build her confidence as well. She's sure of what's going on, but she's not positive she's going to keep doing this because she doesn't know how it's going to go, because it's all new. Again, it's the new me that I'm presenting to the world.
Yeah, that's interesting, Scott, that you picked up on the probably many recordings. I guess like what she's just sort of testing the waters, you think?
Yeah, she's got to see how it's going to go. Apparently the blowback's been pretty hardcore so far, but I think she's probably getting in there because she doesn't know. She's probably a little nervous about it and is trying to come up with this new personality that's illegal, almost like a lawyer or something. So she's been reading a lot. You can tell that because her vernacular has changed from when back in the old days when we'd watch her on videos and listen to people interview her and talk to her and listen to her talk. And her words used to be, her vernacular, the words she uses, they were really small words, 5 to 7 letters at the most for each word, and her sentences were really short. But if you listen to her now, her sentences are really long, and they've got a lot of big words in them, in other words. And she's found a couple of words she likes from reading some legal things. And one of them is capacity, because she says capacity 4,000 or 5,000 times in this, it seems like. So that's one of the words that you pick up, and we do that. We'll find a word that we like when we're reading something, and we'll start using that out in the wild. So she's found capacity, and she's under the impression that makes her sound more like an attorney, more legal. So, and even though she says she's in the legal field, but actually she's been in the legal system for a long time. So that's my impression of what's going on with it. Legal
system is probably a better way to describe it. Scott, it's always nice to see you. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Okay, still to come, it's been a decade since two 12-year-old girls shocked the nation by luring their friend into the woods and stabbing her 19 times by order of the fictitious Slender Man. Remember this story, the Slender Man? Well, one of the attackers is already out of the psychiatric lockup, and the other was granted conditional release, but was back in court today when the state said, not so fast. Something interesting came up with this. We're going to discuss it next.
Title Lock. Find out if you're already a victim. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. You'll receive a free title history report and access to your personal title expert, a $250 value. Go to HomeTitleLock.com now.
So Slender Man was a creepy, supernatural humanoid that started life as a meme before finding its way into horror stories and video games and the highly suggestive minds of teens and tweens. In 2014, two 12-year-old girls from Wisconsin, Anissa Weier and Morgan Geyser, lured a 12-year-old friend, Peyton Leutner, into the woods where Morgan stabbed her 19 times. The girls believed if they killed someone for Slender Man, he wouldn't kill their families. Now, here's some of what Morgan told investigators.
Did you guys talk about doing this beforehand?
Anisha told me we had to.
Why?
Because she said that he'd kill our families.
Who's he?
A man. I didn't know him, but Anisha knew him.
Well, how did you know how to... what were you trying to do with her when you stabbed her?
Kill her. I might as well just say it. We were trying to kill her. I don't know why it was necessary that it was her, but it seemed very necessary. The last thing she said to me was, I trusted you. And then she said, I hate you. And then we lied to her. Anisha said that she'd go get help. I didn't have anything to do with the lying, Mom. That was all Anisha. She said we were going to go get help.
How did you try to get down there?
We said that we were going to go bird watching. People who trust you become very gullible. And it was sort of sad.
And the victim somehow managed to crawl to a bike path where she was saved by a passerby, and both attackers were found not guilty by reason of mental disease. Anisha was ordered confined to a psychiatric facility for 25 years, though she was released after only 4. And then there was Morgan, who got 40 years, but in January was granted conditional release by a judge who found she was no longer a threat to the public. Well, today, she was back in court after the state moved to block her release because of her reading habits, specifically a book she'd read about sexual sadism and murder.
At a point in time, did you become concerned about information you learned about reading material that Ms. Geiser was using?
I did.
Why?
Because it is related to the index offense, I suppose.
In what way?
It's violent.
Okay, so joining me now is Kathleen Hale, author of Slender Man, Online Obsession, Mental Illness, and the Violent Crime of Two Midwestern Girls. Kathleen, thank you for being with us tonight. So they were going to release her, then were concerned about this book she was reading. What was the ultimate outcome today?
Well, what you didn't see in that interrogation video, Brian, or what you might not have noticed, is that she was not only 12 at that time, she was also being sexually abused at home and was in the grips of trauma-induced psychosis. And what happened today is that the judge rejected a baseless, fear-driven attempt to reverse Morgan Geiser's release. The state of Wisconsin tried to weaponize the fact that a 22-year-old woman read a crime novel as evidence that she's dangerous. That argument should terrify all of us. If that's enough to lock someone up, then every single person in America not be in handcuffs.
Yeah, they called it a book she read about sexual sadism and murder. They left it at that. But do you know anything more about this book? Because it's my understanding it's actually like a very, very popular, common book.
Yeah, so that's one of the most bizarre and terrifying parts of this case is that the state put Morgan's reading list on trial. They claimed that because she reads Stephen King novels, that meant she's dangerous. And the book that you're talking about in particular, which got a lot of airtime at today's hearing, called Rent Boy by Gary Indiana, and it's satirical noir fiction. But these weren't underground manifestos. These are books that you can buy at any bookstore. They're even available inside the facility. So saying that Morgan Geiser is dangerous because of what she reads or what she draws, her artwork was also on trial today, is part of the same moral panic that people blame Columbine on Marilyn Manson or slap warning labels on rap albums or say that Harry Potter promoted witchcraft. And we thought those days were over, but we were wrong.
Yeah, and so the book, I mean, she was in the psych ward, so was the book like in the library of the hospital? I mean, she somehow got this book in the hospital, right? It's not like she snuck it in.
No, not at all. The book was sent to her in the mail, but Morgan's mail is checked and the books are screened. So it wasn't as if this was contraband. She wasn't breaking any rules, something that the facility knew about and they had cleared.
Interesting. Well, it sounds like now they've made the decision to let her out. Real quick, do you know when, Kathleen, she's gonna walk free?
Now that the court has upheld her release, the next step is determining the specific conditions of that release, and that'll likely happen in the next few weeks. But let's not lose sight of the bigger picture, which is that she was supposed to walk free today. She had already been fairly granted release. And the only reason this process was dragged out was because the state of Wisconsin tried to rewrite the rules at the last minute to keep her locked up.
Yeah, it's a fascinating case. Kathleen, thank you for coming on tonight. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but still to come, Lori Vallow, Daybell, the doomsday cult mom. We all know that name. You know, she's already sentenced to life in prison for the murders of her 2 kids and her lover's wife. She's about to go on trial again, could get life again. But there's someone who thinks it's all a mistake and that Lori will be cleared of everything. Of course, that person is Lori Vallow herself.
The same way I will be exonerated, we will both be exonerated in the future.
Ooh, this was bizarre. Lori sat for a long jailhouse interview. We're going to have a preview coming up.
Planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Rapid symptom relief and lasting steroid-free remission are possible with Rinvoq. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. You could pay as little as $0 per month.
At least one person thinks Lori Vallow is going to be exonerated, and not just of the charges she faces in Arizona, but the ones she's already been convicted of in Idaho. And that person is Lori Vallow. Vallow's husband, number 5, Chad, is on death row in Idaho, but Lori thinks he'll be exonerated too. Now, I know that because I've seen previews of a long jailhouse interview the doomsday cult mom did with Dateline NBC. It airs tomorrow night. Vallow, as you know, is about to stand trial in Arizona for conspiracy to murder her 4th husband, Charles, and a man who was married to her niece. And she's already sentenced to life in prison in Idaho for the murders of her kids, Tylee and JJ, and the first wife of her current husband, Chad Daybell. I know, you need a spreadsheet to keep track of Lori's personal and criminal history. It is a lot. But now, for the first time, a national TV audience will hear directly from Lori Vallow herself about how the media is to blame for making her a murderer, about her encounter with Jesus in heaven, and why she thinks one day she'll be free again. Look at this.
You're the most hated mom in America.
I heard that.
Are you misunderstood?
Absolutely.
We met Lori Vallow at a women's jail in Maricopa County. You remember the case, right? Who can forget it?
The media loves to take tragedies and turn them into crimes. I had a lot of tragedies in a row.
Perhaps she would finally tell us why. Why her children are dead, and her ex-husband, and her lover's wife.
Are you keeping track?
Oh, yeah. Were all those awful events launched by a bit of pure chance? Or maybe something far more intentional? I'm asking you a question. Did you watch your children die?
That's a really sad question.
You've made the decision to meet me for an on-camera interview because...
You've heard a lot of stuff, Keith. What I tell you will be the truth.
Chad was convicted and he's on death row now.
I understand that, yeah.
But
they have some fascinating stories.
How could you possibly think that Chad would be exonerated after what happened?
The same way I will be exonerated. We will both be exonerated in the future.
Because?
I have seen things in the future that Jesus showed me when I was in heaven.
Uh-huh.
And we were not in jail. And we were not in prison. And they were still in the future from now.
So if you were following along, Lori Vallow says she is misunderstood. She's seen the future where she and Chad Daybell are free again, and the only person speaking the truth is Lori Vallow herself, she says. And how did she answer the question, did you watch your children die? Well, you'll have to see Dateline NBC. It's going to air that interview tomorrow. It'll be on tomorrow night. I wanted to point out one more thing, since we've never seen Lori Vallow interviewed in a one-on-one setting like that. Pay attention to how many times she says the interviewer's name, Keith, and how she really lays on the charm, the humor. She's even, creepily flirting a little bit.
Are you keeping track, Keith? Can we agree on that, Keith? Can I joke with you, Keith? Can we joke? Good one, Keith. You've heard a lot of stuff, Keith, and I'm here to say you've heard a lot of stuff, but what I tell you will be the truth. I thought we were going to be friends, Keith. I thought we were going to be friends. Get your facts straight, Keith. Aren't appearances not what they might seem to be, Keith? Could you get your life story out in 90 minutes, Keith? How old are you, Keith? Keith, we can talk all day. I can talk all day. I don't have anything to do. You could extend your time. Come back. Come see me.
I don't even know what to say. She's like just weird. Seems comfortable in front of the cameras, even in the orange jail scrubs and the blue handcuffs, just sitting there. And she's not exactly telling the truth when she says she's got nothing to do. She's got 2 trials to prepare for where she is not only the defendant, get this, she's the defense counsel. She's the lawyer. A judge agreed to allow Lori to represent herself. Imagine what that, I mean, if based on this interview, imagine what that is going to be like. She's going to sit there and try to represent herself during a trial, which starts in just 25 days. Dateline NBC airs their full jailhouse interview with Lori Vallow. Again, that is tomorrow night. So it should be something. All right, coming up next, how would you react if someone on your flight suddenly threw off all of their clothes, started running up and down the aisle? Several people on this Southwest flight grabbed their cell phones when it happened to them. Something apparently made this woman flip out and she just stripped down. We've got the details coming up next. So I fly a lot. I've seen flights delayed and canceled for a lot of reasons, but thank goodness, thankfully, I have never had this happen. Southwest Airlines this past Monday, a flight from Houston to Phoenix, for reasons unknown only to her, there was this passenger, and thankfully we have blurred it, who got up from her seat, walked from the back of the plane to the front, wearing nothing but her birthday suit. She was totally naked, and she was not being quiet about it. One passenger says the naked woman was angrily demanding to be let off the plane. Fortunately, everyone on board kept their seats, kept their composure. See the video here? I mean, she was like, had her hands up in the air. I can only imagine what that must have looked like. But the people were composed while they tried to figure out exactly what was going on. The flight hadn't taken off yet. It was just taxiing. So the pilot pulled an about face, had to return back to the terminal. Thankfully, she didn't do that while she was up in the air, still on the ground. Witnesses say the woman was escorted off the plane with a blanket around her, and Houston police took her for an evaluation with no criminal charges filed. So hopefully she is in better spirits now. Southwest apologized and left for Phoenix. The flight did about an hour later, so there's only an hour delay. Think about it, with all the trouble with these airline incidents lately, it's not necessarily the worst way for your flight to make the news, but still, can't imagine being on that flight. Kind of crazy. All right, that's all our time for tonight. Banfield will be back tomorrow night. Appreciate you sticking with us. I hope you sleep well. Cuomo's coming up next.
All right, my brothers and sisters, Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to NewsNation. President Donald Trump can huff, Elon Musk can puff, but they cannot blow our house down. This, my brothers and sisters, is a nation of laws. And this administration has done something remarkable already. It has reminded so many that we need our system of laws, of the people.